90% of veterans are getting robbed by their VA loan, and it's not by the loan itself, but how they're using it. Let's say you get the VA loan, you finally cash in on that benefit that you earned, you buy a single family home, $0 out of pocket or 0% down payment. You feel like you won, but you didn't. You just spent the most powerful financial tool the government has ever handed to anybody on the lowest leverage outcome possible. And no one's gonna tell you that. Not your realtor, not your loan officer, not the guy at the VA office, because the loan still closes either way and everybody gets paid. Last year, I closed more loans in Alaska than anyone else in the state, and I've watched this play out several times. Whether you're stationed at JBER now, or you just got PCS orders to Alaska, or you're Googling this from a hotel room somewhere, or you separated 5 years ago and have never touched your benefits, this is for you. You walk into the lender's office with full VA entitlement. They quote you a payment on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, single family home with a garage. You sign the papers, you move in, you build some equity over time. You're a homeowner. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with taking that route, using your VA loan in that way. A lot of veterans do it, and they're glad that they did. Here's what no one mentioned in that conversation, though. Your mortgage payment on that house is like $2,500, $3,000 a month. And every single dollar of it's on you. Your entire BAH goes to it, your base pay goes to it. And in 2 years, if PCS orders drop, you've got a real pickle to deal with. Keep it or try to manage it from across the country, or sell it and see what you walk away with. Not all of those are bad outcomes, but that's the part of the math that no one talks about up front. No one told you that the same exact benefit, the VA loan, 0 down, no PMI, same qualification process, could have been doing something completely different. That's exactly what I'm going to show you right now. So the VA loan is the most underused wealth building tool in America, not because it gets you a single family home with no money down. That's a perfectly good use of it. It's because that same benefit, that same VA loan, that same 0 down payment lets you buy up to 4 units, live in one, rent out the other 3. And in Alaska, on top of all of that, with the full entitlement, there is no loan limit in Alaska. None. Let me show you what this actually breaks down as. Last March, I worked with a guy named Marcus, 10 years in the Army, used to be stationed at JBER, separated as an E6, and he's 100% service-connected disability, which means he collects several $1,000s a month for disability for the rest of his life. Before he came to me, he was paying about $1,350 a month to split a home with a couple other guys, just trying to find his footing after the service. He was going through jobs. He had PTSD. He just couldn't hold anything down. We sat down, we ran his numbers, and in a few months later, he closed on a $600,000 fourplex in the Valley. 0 out of pocket. His agent negotiated all the closing costs. He moved into one of the units. He rented the other 3 at $1,650 a piece. Actually, they came rented. His housing costs went from paying $1,350 a month in rent, splitting it with a couple of buddies, to 0 overnight. That wasn't a trick. Here's the part that isn't so obvious is for all these VA loans that you live in one of the units for at least 12 months. That's it. And if you've got full entitlement, which means you haven't used your benefit at all yet, or you use it once and the entitlement's been restored, you can borrow whatever a lender is willing to approve on a property up to the appraised value. Compare that to other loan products that are close, like the FHA loan, which I love, or conventional 5% down, which makes you pay mortgage insurance, not the end of the world, but like everyone prefers not to, and it caps at a conforming limit. VA does neither. It's a completely different category of tool. And here are the 4 mechanisms that all work in the background that make this the best multifamily financing tool in America. Not the best, but the best. Number 1, 0% down up to 4 units. Conventional, you need like 5 to 20% down on a fourplex. On a $600,000 building, that's $100,000 out of pocket in cash sitting on the sidelines before you can even make an offer. VA, nothing. All that money stays in your pocket in your ecosystem. Number 2, no mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is a lot of times what you have to pay if you didn't put 20% down. It's kind of built into a lot of loans. 3, rental income from the other units counts towards your qualifying income. The lender isn't just looking at your W-2 or your LES. They're counting the projected rents from the units that you're gonna buy. The units already have tenants in them and are already paying. On Marcus's deal, that was almost $5,000 a month in additional qualifying income before any of his other paycheck was even counted towards the loan for underwriting. And 4, you can use the benefit more than once. It's a lifetime benefit. Sell the property, restore your entitlement, use it again. I've used mine twice. or keep the property and use whatever entitlement you've got left and stack a second VA loan on top of that. With the right strategy, you can even squeeze in a third. There's a couple tricks to this, and specifically if you're in active duty. So if you're an active duty service member at JBER, 4 pieces of your pay are tax-free: BAH, BAS, and COLA, and sometimes combat pay, right? And base pay if you're in a designated combat zone. You already know that part. But what you probably don't know is that when you apply for a mortgage, any tax-free income typically gets grossed up. So those tax-free entitlements get grossed up by 25% on the application. Let me show you what this means. Say you're an E6 with dependents, base pay probably $3,800, BAH $2,400, BAS $460, and COLA about $250. On paper, that's $6,910 a month. On the mortgage application, the lender actually adds 25% to the tax-free parts. BAH, BAS, COLA all go up, and your qualifying income jumps to about $7,688 a month. That's a $778 difference in additional buying power that's invisible to you when you just look at your LES. That $778 a month at current rates is somewhere between $130 to $150 in additional loan you can qualify for. That's the difference between qualifying for a $500,000 house and qualifying for a $640,000 fourplex. You see what I'm saying? Then you stack the rental income from the other 3 units on top of that. And so the math gets really good at that point. In 2020, my wife and I used my VA loan, my first one, to buy a fourplex right here in Anchorage. It was about $700,000. I mean, it was like zero out of pocket. We moved into one of the units. We rented out the other 3. At the time, they were about $1,600 a piece. And from day one, those 3 units essentially covered our entire mortgage payment on that building. I didn't write a check for housing. I didn't pay anyone rent. The building paid for itself. 6 years later, today, those rents are, I think, about $2,300 a month per unit. And the mortgage payment is roughly the same because it was a fixed rate. It's not going anywhere. So the cash flow keeps growing while the payment stays flat. That's not like a one-off. That's what the VA loan does when you point it at the right kind of asset. A few months ago, my wife and I were laying in bed and we were going over the month of budgeting our finances, and she hits me with ding, ding, ding. We had like $5,000 in expenses that we didn't plan for. Dog had surgery, something else happened. Like, it was completely unexpected. I'm laying there thinking, that's a setback, right? And then, as if the voice just changed, and then she says, oh, don't worry about it. It was all covered by our cash flow. And I'm just laying there and I'm like, wow, we didn't go backwards. We didn't have to dip into savings. We didn't move anything around. There's no overtime. There wasn't anyone stretching. There wasn't eating ramen. Like, we didn't, nothing essentially happened except the building just absorbed that expensive month. That moment is when that actual strategy builds. It's a safety net. It's optionality, the ability to take a hit without derailing your life. And all of it started with a well-used VA loan when I was 30 years old. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sounds great, but what happens when PCS orders come out? Short answer is nothing. Nothing happens. The loan stays the same. The VA only requires you to live in the property as your primary residence for 12 months. After that, you're free. Like, when you do PCS and rent your unit out on the way out, the math gets better because now all 4 units are producing income instead of 3. The building goes from maybe breaking even to positive cash flow every month, and you can do it again at your next duty station. Once that local fourplex around here is producing rental income, that income counts towards your qualifying income on the next purchase. You can use your remaining entitlement to buy another small multifamily, live in one unit, rent out the others. You've got a fourplex in Anchorage, Alaska, and your next one's in San Antonio or wherever you land. Both producing income, both building equity, both getting paid down by the rents. But quick note, if you just got orders to Alaska and you're watching this somewhere in Texas or North Carolina or wherever you are in the world, wondering what you're walking into, Anchorage is structurally a great market for this play because you can't run it anywhere and everywhere. Like, 3 of the main reasons why this works really well here. 1, there's a steady year-round pipeline of Joes cycling through JBER. New PCS orders, bringing in new tenants every quarter. Demand here is structural, not seasonal. 2, Alaska is classified as a high-cost area, spoiler alert, which means the VA loan ceiling is one of the highest in the country. That benefits you. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, but if you're trying to run this play in a lower cost state, you might bump into underwriting entitlement issues. 3, price to rent math here is favorable compared to a lot of the other country. A $600,000 fourplex pulling in about $1,650 a unit isn't something you find easily in like Denver, Phoenix, or Austin. So when you put all of this together, 0 down, rental income qualifies you. You can run it at your next base. What you actually have is a sequence of steps that you can replicate and repeat. And I call this the leverage ladder. Picture a ladder with the little rungs, and you are just on the first one. The income from the last one helps you qualify for the next one. And on every single ring of the rung, 4 things are happening at once. If you picture an iceberg, how you can see only about 10% of the top of the iceberg above water, everything is underneath. The cash flow is the top of the iceberg. Oftentimes the only part that a lot of people look at, but it's also the smallest part comparatively speaking to the entire return of the building. You're collecting the cash flow, the building is appreciating, your tenants are paying down the mortgage from the rent, and you're getting the tax benefit on a $600,000 asset, even though you put nothing down. That's the leverage play like nothing else. So if you're a veteran sitting on full entitlement right now, the homework is simple. Pull your certificate of eligibility. Actually, don't. Any lender can do it in just a matter of minutes. Get your pre-approval and find out exactly what you qualify for before you go shopping or late night Zillow scrolling. I promise you, the math always gets more friendlier than you expect once we gross up your pay and factor in the projected rental income. And if you're a veteran or you've already used your VA loan on a single family home and you're just kicking yourself a little bit for that, don't worry, there's options, there's ways to work this. You still have tools. The FHA loan does almost the same thing, but not as cool with 3.5% down up to 4 units. I made a video of that right here. The links to contact me are down below, and I'll see you in the next one.